Hey folks, okay, this is assignment 6. You are going to need pen and paper for this exercise, so if you don't have it with you, if you would hit pause on the video please and get yourself something to write with and write on, and then come back. Okay, very good. So this exercise is going to be a written exercise. It'll be much like ones we've done before, where I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And after I ask the question, if you would hit pause on the video and write your response to the question, take all the time you want and need, and then hit, resume the video and keep on going till we're done. Okay? All right. And so the area that we're looking at with this assignment, with assignment 6, is our relationship to ourself and the quality of our relationship to ourself in some different areas. And so I'm going to go through and we're going to be looking at some different areas. And as we do, it's really important that you not use this as an opportunity to indulge self-judgment and self-criticism. Okay? I'm going to imagine that it will be tempting to do that because we're going to be looking, at some of our behaviors and how we do things, and that tends to bring up, self-judgment and self-criticism. But don't go there. Don't do that. That's not what this is about. We're just kind of seeing where we are in terms of our relationship with ourselves. Okay? And at the end of the video, I'll ask you to maybe pick some areas to work on, just to practice with. But this is not about beating yourself up for not being the person that you should be. Okay? That's not what this is about. And along with that, as we go through, and I'll if I can remember, I'll remind you as we go through. As we look at these different areas, I want you to not just look at the negatives, place where, you're not really being with yourself and taking care of yourself in the way that you would really like to. There are likely going to be some of those, and we want to be looking at those. But also look at the places where you're being successful, where you really are taking good care of yourself. Let's not lose track of that. So make sure with in each of these places that we're going to explore, that you're looking at both the places that that need work and the successes, and honor the successes and that you have in your life, the achievement that you have already gotten to in terms of your relationship with yourself, and celebrate that. Celebrate the positives. Okay? All right. Good. Okay. So the first subcategory is in terms of just physical self-care. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider the obvious areas, and there may be more than the ones I mentioned, but food, your relationship with food, your relationship with exercise, and in other ways taking care of your body, and your relationship with sleep. And there might be other particular things you want to look at in addition to those, but those three are kind of big ones. And so habits, conscious and unconscious habits that you have around each of those areas: food, exercise, or taking care of the physical body, and sleep. And so what I want you to do in a minute when you pause the video is start with one, like say start with food, and look through and to see where are you? Just where are you in your relationship with food? Where do you see places where things you could feel really good about? Places where perhaps you've worked through some unconscious habits and have gotten to a good place in certain areas. And then look at places that need some work. Places where you indulge some unconscious habits that don't really take care of you and the things that you don't want to do. So with each of those areas. Okay? So first off, just do a survey of that, and then I'm going to come back and get you to look at it in a little bit more. All right? So if you pause the video now and do that, it'd be great. Okay, welcome back. All right, so that's the content in this area. Now I want to look at the process. So in the places where you are successful, how are you successful? What is the process that goes on within you that you consciously engage in order to be successful? Like in order to be able to, like let's say, for example, you've got just a deep, heartfelt love of donuts, let's say, and you allow yourself to have a donut every once in a while just because that's something you love. But, by and large, you've recognized that, eating donuts 3 meals a day is not, doesn't really take care of you and doesn't make you feel good. And you've been able to let that go. How did you do that? How have you been able to let that go? Conversely, an area where you do not feel successful, a place where you get pulled into eating something on a regular basis that, it just doesn't take care of you, and you don't want to be doing it, but you still are doing it. So, like that. And so, so you're going to look at it in terms of process. And so what that means is, with something that's a conditioned process, what you're going to be looking at is the stuff that we've already been exploring in the class already. What do the voices of conditioned mind say to talk you into the thing or talk you out of the thing? So, like, for example, let's say that I really want to be going to the gym, 3 or 4 times a week, and I just don't make it. Well, why not? How do I get talked out of that? So maybe the voices of conditioning are telling me, oh, it's too hard. There's no point. You'll get in there and you're going to quit anyway. So there's no point in even getting started. Whatever it's saying to talk you out of it. In terms of the process, so like, what is basically conditioned mind doing to keep you from the thing? If it's a conscious behavior, something where you're making conscious choices, it's like, how are you making that choice? Where do you go in yourself in order to make that choice? What do you have to let go of, maybe, in order to make that choice, like that? Okay? So just pick one or maybe two things in the area. This is just to get an idea of how the process happens that causes you to do something that you don't want to do, and how are you in yourself? What are you doing within yourself when you are successful and you're able to do what you want to do? Okay? All right, so take some time with that if you would please. Okay, so this next one, and this has already been touched on in the previous area, but I want to look specifically at, we could call it unconscious behaviors. We could also call it addictive behaviors. Addictive behaviors would be sort of a subcategory. So I want us to look at places where we are doing what we want to not be doing, and we're not doing things that we want to be doing. And how does that work? Okay? So it could be addictive kind of things like, food, substances, habits like in terms of coping behaviors, like, shopping, overworking, things like that. It also could be kind of on the negative side, like procrastination, for example. Things where there's something that we clearly want to do and we don't do it. We put it off, we don't do it, or we sabotage it. All right? And so, first part of this kind of subcategory, same as before, same as the first one, just do a survey. So, and positive and negative. So for the negative, where are there places in your life where you are doing what you don't want to do, and you feel sort of out of control about that? You feel without choice about that. Where are there places where you're not doing what you want to be doing? Same thing. Okay. So do a little survey. Hit pause. Do a little survey, and then we'll come back and we'll look at it on the process level. Okay, welcome back. All right, so same thing as before. So let's look at the process. And so, how is it that you don't do what you want to do? How is it that you do what you don't want to do? Okay? And so that's the negative side. And look at the positive side too. When you are able to do what you want to do, and you are able to let go of doing what you don't want to do, even if it's compelling or there's a powerful draw to it, how do you do that? How are you in yourself? Who are you within yourself? Obviously, it requires you to be in a centered place in order to be making conscious decisions about things. What is that like? How do you get there? Like that. Okay? So again, positive and negative. On the negative side, what do the voices say? What are you believing? What is it talking you into believing that is getting you to do that? Another thing, and I didn't say this about the food and exercise and stuff, but this is another place you can look, is who are you? Like, what's the identity that's there when you are not doing what you want to do and when you're doing what you don't want to do? Okay, and then on the positive side, who are you? How do you get to center? How have you managed to let go of the things you've let go of? All right, so good, thank you. Take some time with that one. Okay, all right, and here's the third and final area, and then I'll put a little sub area too at the end, but this is the third main area I want you to look at. And I realize this is a lot, and just like the other ones, I've been giving you a lot to work with here because I just want you to have a lot to look at over the course of the week, or the time in between assignments. Right now, just write out whatever you can see, and then as you go through your life over the next few days, keep on looking at these things. Keep on watching how you do what you do and what you do. Just to learn more about where you are in this case, in terms of your relationship with yourself. Okay, so the third area I want you to look at is in terms of your outward relationships with different people. And I want you to look at it as seeing your outward relationships as a mirror of your relationship with yourself, with the idea that how you treat others is how you treat yourself. And so, first off, look at your relationships in general, and just do a survey like we did before, and with the question, how are you treating others? How are you being with others? Okay, and so the obvious categories: intimate relationships, if you have that going, work relationships, family relationships, friendships, like that. And just, you don't have to explore every single relationship that you have, but just in general, when you look at the relationships that you have, how are you with people? How do you treat people? What is your state of being with people? Could also be like pets. That would be another place that you could. That's going to be another mirror for you in which you get to see how you are with yourself. Okay. So anyway, this first step is just a survey. So if you would do that, please. Okay, and so when you look at the relationships that you have with other people, what does that show you about your relationship with yourself? Again, on the presumption that the way you treat others is the way you treat yourself. What does that show you? What does that show you about the work that you need to do in order to be in a good, loving relationship with yourself? Don't forget, as with the other ones, to look at the positive and the negative. So, there are, I'm sure, outward relationships in your life that are really good and loving in places, maybe completely. Don't forget to acknowledge that. Don't forget to acknowledge, what a good friend you are sometimes, or maybe often, maybe always. Don't forget to acknowledge how kind you are, how conscious, how concerned you are about other people's needs, stuff like that. And then also acknowledge the places where it really, the way you are and your behavior falls short of really what you want and and the person you know yourself to be. Places where maybe you're critical of others and judgmental, where maybe you're manipulative, where you push people around in different ways, where you don't let others be themselves, perhaps, stuff like that. Okay. Okay, and so now, if you would, so looking at how you are with other people, how you are with yourself. Consider now, if you would, how you would like to be with yourself. You've looked at the positive and negative. You also probably have a good relationship with yourself in various ways. places where you really take care of yourself, where you really honor your needs and take care of them, where you advocate for yourself and your needs, perhaps. And so, what else how else do you want to be in yourself? What else are you going for in your relationship with yourself in this way? Okay, very good. And so that's kind of the survey. The subcategory, we've already been looking at this a lot in the class, is just your relationship with yourself emotionally and how well you take care of yourself emotionally. So that's something that you can consider too, maybe as you go along, is, are you there with yourself? Are you there with do you take care of yourself emotionally? Are you able to be present with yourself instead of getting sucked into the stories and conditioned mind that we've been talking about? Okay, so that's the assignment for now. And then what I want you to do is to, whenever you feel ready, you can write into the class about what you've seen. And then as you go back about these next days until the next assignment, really pay attention to this. And maybe pick a small area to practice with. In my experience, my relationship with myself and learning how to have a good, loving relationship with myself in which I can truly care for myself has been the process of years and years of learning how to do that and working with that. And it continues, and I expect that to continue to the end of my life. And so we're not trying to permanently solve anything here, but it's really handy to practice how we want to be with ourselves. So pick some little area. So some area of physical self-care that you want to work on, something in terms of your relationship with yourself, as we talked about. So just whatever you feel like you want to work on, just pick something, and seeing how where you are and the process that goes on that causes you to be where you are in relationship to whatever the thing is, and then decide how else you want to be and practice that. So what would be a good example? Let's say it's procrastination. Let's say there's this thing that I really care about, that I really want to do, and I have for a long time, and I just can't make myself do it. I just can't. What's going on with that? Why is that? Conditioned mind is going to be involved. How is it talking me out of doing that? And then I'm going to, over the next few days, I'm going to work on heading towards doing that thing. And I'm going to be watching as I attempt to do that thing. I'm going to be watching how conditioned mind talks me out of it, and I'm going to be practicing making different choices. So let's use the going to the gym thing. I really want to get in shape. I've just kind of gotten slack, and my body's gotten soft, and I just don't have any lungs. My lung capacity is really not good, and so I'll set a goal to go to the gym. And so I'm going to set about doing that, and I'm going to watch every way that conditioned mind tries to talk me out of it. And I'm going to watch when I'm successful, how am I successful? I'm going to practice making a choice that's independent of conditioned mind that really takes care of me. Okay? Without any judgment or criticism, without beating myself up this is really important, for not doing it. It's not about that. It's not really about trying to accomplish something. It's about seeing how it is that we're talked out of it, and seeing how it is that we might make conscious choices. All right, very good. So, and then if you feel like it, after you worked with that for a couple, 3 days, then put your experience in the class. What have you learned? What have you seen? How was that? What have you learned about how to be in a good relationship with yourself and how to really take care of yourself? Okay. Thank you as always for your time and attention. We're plugging right along. We're several weeks into the class now and starting to head towards the end, and I'm very, very grateful that you're here, that you're still here doing this work, and that you're looking at life and at yourself in this way, and taking this time to really work on your practice and work on your relationship and yourself in this way. So thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you very much, and I will see you in the class.